The sponsors. Do you know which sponsors we have today?
Yeah, I can tell you some of the sponsors we have today. We have Callow. Callow is great. Callow gives us plant-based supplements like Q Focus and Q Sleep that I use in my daily life. I use Q Focus all the time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually out right now and need to reorder some, or else I would have taken some before today, but I used the last one for Good Gaming Well Played last week.
I've got two more.
And that is my brain right there, forgetting to reorder in time, which is just a problem I have that uh, only I can help myself with that. But eventually I'll get more, and you can get more too if you follow the code in the chat. Enter code COMFORT to get 10% off.
Um,
We also have Dice Envy. If you're ever looking to
mhm,
grab some dice to fill your
mhm.
coffers, you can use our referral link that's also in the chat. We can type that in there for you right now. There we go. You can also
Perfect.
enter code COMFORT to get 10% off for that. They make great dice at a very reasonable price. They also have dice trays, dice bags, and more. We are also sponsored by 1985 Games. 1985 Games, the creators of Dungeon Craft. They're an affordable way to upgrade campaigns from hand-drawn maps to stunning visual worlds. You can get uh, battle maps, miniatures, the new deck of stories. It's the same thing as the other two sponsors. You use code COMFORT at checkout for 10% off. And then for the month of March only, we are sponsored by HelloFresh. HelloFresh provides easy to cook meals for you and your family with minimal food waste at minimal cost. For this month, if you use the code in the chat that I'm not going to read out loud because it is a uh, bunch of letters and numbers, it'll be easier for you to read and copy and paste yourself, but you can use that to get 16 up to 16 free meals plus three surprise gifts across your six HelloFresh boxes plus free shipping on your first box.
I literally put in an order for new HelloFresh last night, and I'm very excited. I've got some shrimp enchiladas on the way,
Oh hell yeah!
as well as some salmon bucatini, and shrimp coconut pad thai. I am very excited. I am stellar. I'm so excited for that.
That sounds delicious.
Delicious. You know what else is delicious, Zoe?
What's that?
Our wonderful patrons. Our Patreons. Be sure to go check out our Patreon. Be sure to support our Patreon. Be sure to go ahead and give us some love. Give us some tender love and care over on the Patreon. And that's everything. That's everything that I've got to say for an opening intro. Do you think that we riffed enough? Do you think that we have vamped our time a little bit?
I think we vamped enough. I think we can get into some news of the week.
Video game news. Video game news. Why don't you go ahead and kick us off, Zoe? It's not like you've been talking enough already, and I want to give
Yeah,
you a
yeah, no,
break, but kick us off.
I got you. I got you. Let's start off with some news about Elden Ring. Elden Ring, the
Ooh.
game that's sweeping the nation that everyone loves, especially Brian in the chat. Big fan of Elden Ring.
Big
As we
fan of
all
Elden
know,
Ring.
big fan of Elden Ring. She can't get enough of it. Uh,
Notoriously loves Elden Ring.
Literally won't stop talking about how much he enjoys Elden Ring.
Loves
Um,
the menus.
Look, I've always said From Software Games has very intuitive menus and are always very easy games to understand.
Very clear to read. You're giving clear directions the entire time.
Anyway, this news is related to the work that was put into the lore of the game. As we all know, George R. Martin was billed as someone involved with creating the story for Elden Ring, but how much involvement did he actually have? That is the question that's been on everyone's mind. According to a recent interview, Miyazaki told IGN that he wanted to work with George R. R. Martin because he was a big fan of Song of Ice and Fire. George R. R. Martin, in turn, not a big video game fan, or at least not a big modern video game fan, but he was familiar with Dark Souls and liked what he knew about it, so he was excited to work with it.
I would
Well,
say I am more
apparently,
of a Tetris fan. I am a Tetris fan. It helps get my brain cells stimulating while I'm writing my next book that's not Game of Thrones.
not many people know, but the Wind of Winters is actually going to be based on Tetris. It's taking a really severe departure from the previous story.
He hasn't lost. Has not lost.
Uh, So the news that came out recently is that George R. R. Martin was tasked with writing the history of Elden Ring. George R. R. Martin was very excited to work on the past, the lore that built up to the current events, the heroes of the past in this world. And Miyazaki said that he had a lot of fun turning all the heroes that Martin created and breaking them in order to turn them into misshapen, grotesque monsters.
Are you talking
He
about such heroes and monsters as the lonesome dung eater?
The Loathsome Dung Eater is a saint. How dare you call him a monster? The Loathsome Dung Eater has done nothing wrong in his life.
Fantastic.
Um, but
Fantastic.
Miyazaki was quoted as saying, I think Martin might be a bit shocked at the changes that he made to his creations. And as this article points out, that raises the question how much involvement of George R. R. Martin's actually survived to the final product. That's still hard to say. But I thought that was a really interesting thing to come out because I have also wondered how much of it was Miyazaki, how much of it was George R. R. Martin, what did they actually do to create the game? And honestly, a lot of that makes sense to me.
My theory is that George R. R. Martin, the only thing that George R. R. Martin wrote was every time you see Trifinger Butthole in the game, I like to think that that's just George in his little Greek fisherman's cap with the suspenders on, and he's just saying, haha, Trifinger Butthole. Just wait. Yes, Brian, I want to answer the question from at Brian LeBurge in the chat, or Liberge, as I've heard some people say. Please don't correct me right now. I'm incorrectable. But I'm under duress. There is actually lore in the game. But From Software games are notorious for you having to like read items and find lore snippets in the game, except for Sekiro. I think Sekiro is like the first and only game they've truly made that has clear cut like this is a story. Here are cutscenes. Go for it.
Mhm. I remember playing the first Dark Souls game. There is a mandatory boss that you must fight, and the only way to get to them is through using an item, and the only way you're ever going to know that is if you read the item descriptions, which let me tell you, I do not read item descriptions. I don't hate reading, as Terra the
Mm-hmm.
Terrible says, but I also will not go through and read item descriptions because that's I have better things to do with my time.
I am quite the opposite. So when I play video games, I'm a little seeker. I am
Mhm.
a I like puzzles. I like collectibles. I love collectibles in games. Everybody complains about Assassin's Creed and all the feathers you had to hunt down in Assassin's Creed 2. I loved that shit. I hated what you got at the
Really?
end, but I loved looking for like collectibles. I like exploring the game world. I like searching nook and crannies. If you've watched me play a video game on stream that wasn't like me losing my mind and power to the people, but like when I played Control on stream or Alien Isolation or
Mhm.
Last of Us Part 2, all those are available on our YouTube. You can go watch those playthroughs right now. Um, every time I played those games, I would literally get to an area and I would look around and be like, all right, cool, bet, here we go, we're doing it. I'm finding stuff and it's great, and I'm just soaking in all of these assets and art. Like I love immersing myself in games, but not in the way where it's like I'm actually in the game. It's like I like to immerse myself in like the fact that like people made this with their own hands and it looks great or it looks terrible. But yeah, I love item descriptions. I read the fuck out of that stuff. Also, like the stuff that you don't see behind the scenes. Every time I play a video game on stream and it has like in-game like audio diaries or like actual diaries that you read, I don't
Mhm.
read them on stream because I don't want my stream to be like just me reading shit the entire time unless that's what
Yeah.
people want. Like if that's what you want, then tell us. I don't know, watch it, pay us. I don't know. Who makes the content here? I don't know. Who comes with these ideas?
Yeah,
Certainly
you
not
can
me.
actually follow that link to tip us, which is actually I think is connected to specifically Yaziba right now in the
Oh, that's
command. Uh,
Yazivas, yeah.
but you can also tip us and demand that we play through games and read item descriptions if that's what you want. If you give us money, we'll do it.
Should
I'll
definitely
do
fix
it.
that.
I'll do it anyway.
I'll do it. Yo, you want me to read Great Expectations on stream? You want me to read The Count of Monte Cristo on stream? I'll get really fucking dramatic with it too. But yeah, no,
Uh,
I love that stuff. Um,
yeah.
that's just me personally. Um, and I'm seeing in the chat they're talking about not knowing how to read and everything. Speaking of not knowing how to read, I've got a little piece of news for you.
Yeah, what you got?
I got something for you. Well, it's not just for you; it's for everybody here. There, I fixed the tip thing. Everybody, tell me how good of a job I do on things because I just fixed the tip thing. Um, but yeah,
You did an
no.
excellent job.
According to PC Gamer and other news articles across the web, Guy Beam, who is more famously known as Dr. Disrespect, has settled his lawsuit with Twitch out of court. Um, Notoriously and infamously, Dr. Disrespect, who is a known video gamer that is starting his own video game company. He worked for Activision a long time ago. He's very yelly. He wears a bad wig. He has a mustache. He was banned off of Twitch for carrying a camera into a bathroom at TwitchCon. He's also been warned, suspended, banned from other sites for him being notoriously mean-spirited and hateful. He got into a legal dispute over him being banned back in 2020 in June 2020. We still to this day do not know why he was banned from Twitch. But apparently the reason he was banned is what caused him to sue Twitch. And he announced on his Twitter that he was moving on. It just said moving on, and it showed a page that said that the legal dispute with Twitch and Dr. Disrespect, also known as Guy Beam, has been resolved. No party admits to any wrongdoing. So it sounds like they couldn't come to any terms that they agreed upon, so they just compromised. And now that is over and done with. I think eventually one of these days when they make a great like Netflix documentary that's 5 parts that's about the rise and fall of Twitch or something like that, you will find out exactly what he did. I'm assuming that he probably did something awful and terrible. It was probably sexual harassment or something. Just knowing this guy, can you not tell that I don't like this person? I do not like
No,
this person at all.
I can tell pretty well, and I'll be honest, before I heard about this news story, I had never heard of Dr. Disrespect, which hearing everything about him that you just said makes a lot of sense. And from what I looked up about him prior to the show, he does not seem like someone I want to know more about,
Nope.
to be honest. And I'm pretty happy wallowing in what little ignorance I have left.
If you like, and also if you like allegedly, I gotta say allegedly for legal reasons. If you like allegedly piece of shit streamers like fucking Ninja, then you should go watch Doctor Disrespect on Facebook Gaming or whatever. I don't fucking know. Like, I could really care less. He's on YouTube. I don't know. Look him
He
up.
makes me think,
Don't look him up.
thinking about like as Brian pointed out, plus his name is Dr. Disrespect. I don't know if this is a fair comparison because this is from like mid 2000s internet culture. Do you remember Maddox?
Oh my god.
Maddox, the manliest page on the
Oh
internet.
my god.
Did I just awaken a core
You
memory in
just
you?
fucking you tapped into there's a little okay, so we're going into the halls of my mind palace, okay?
Hmm.
And there are bookshelves and there are file cabinets that's like fucking every single Daredevil comic book that is I've ever read, and like there's everything that I learned about Cambodia and Laos and Vietnam that I learned in school, and there's like how to be a graphic designer, and you just like pushed all those aside, and there's a tiny little hole, and inside that tiny little hole lives a tiny little man that just sits there and he types over and over and over again. And it is mid 2000s internet history. And he's stuck and he's crying because he doesn't want to talk about Maddox. And that's what you just awoke inside me. That is a very long tangent, but that is exactly what you've done to me. I hope you know that.
I uh I was curious to see if he was still doing things.
Yes.
And sure enough, the website still exists. However,
Oh,
the last
God.
blog post was from April 11, 2020, which says, I no longer want coronavirus.
Dear fucking God.
which was a direct response to a post that he made in March 6, 2020. It said, "I want coronavirus," with a gif of a bat sneezing into his mouth. So, you know, I regret going on that website again, to be honest. I'm gonna close out and pretend I don't remember that it existed.
Do you ever hear news that makes you feel like the back of your eyes are bleeding?
Yes.
Specifically the back of them. That is what that just
Yes.
made. A bat?
A bat, a gif of a bat sneezing into his mouth. You know what? The beginnings of the pandemic were a wild fucking time, and it's still a wild
I
fucking
learned a lot
time.
about
But
myself, okay? I learned a lot about myself in exploitative ways and more wholesome ways.
yeah,
Jeez, the fucking Wild West out there. I played Animal Crossing. Like, I don't like Animal Crossing. I think that's the most heinous thing I did during the pandemic, honestly.
play Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
I played a lot of Animal Crossing. I played Animal Crossing every day for about 6 months straight. And then I missed a couple days, and then I never went back to it. I've tried to restart my island a couple times, but it never really stuck. Hey, speaking of Nintendo Switch games, do you want some more news directly related to the Nintendo Switch?
Please give me some fucking Nintendo
Yeah,
Switch
here's
news.
some Nintendo Switch news. There is a new game that just came out on the Nintendo Switch called Chocobo GP. Chocobo GP is a racing game similar to Mario Kart that is exclusive on the Nintendo Switch, where you play as Final Fantasy characters. Sounds like a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, it sounds fucking grand, Zoe. Where's the
Sounds
butt?
great. How do you like microtransactions in your full-priced
I
games?
absolutely love paying $60 for a game, and then I have to spend fucking $130 to get the full game. I
Hmm.
love putting things behind a paywall. There's
Well,
nothing that I love more.
Chocobo GP has three different kind of in-game currencies. You have Gil or Jill. Gil. It's
Gil,
pronounced
it's
Gil, right?
Gil, it's
I haven't
Gil.
played many Final Fantasy games with actual voice acting. If that is not abundantly clear as I try to pronounce things from Final Fantasy. Well, they have Gil. They have tickets that you earn from playing the game, and of course, they have Mithril that you can only get by spending real money. A lot of things in the game apparently cost Mithril. If you want to play the interesting characters that everyone knows and loves, like Cloud Strife, you have to pay Mithril. If you want the season pass, you have to spend Mithril. And a lot of games operate like this nowadays, but it's still very. There is something. There is something especially heinous in my mind about a game like this, where if you look up any of like how the game looks, how it's stylized, it is very much a game that is marketed towards a younger audience. There's something very heinous about games like that that try to get you to spend real money to get the interesting things that the game
Battlefront 2,
supposedly came with.
Fortnite, Apex Legends, fuck.
Dead by Daylight does
Dead
it.
by Daylight. That is their whole economy. You spend
Mhm.
$20 on that game, and then you end up spending $500 to get the fucking jacket that you like on your sexy killer. Jesus. You,
Which
did
look,
you did you say that Cloud Strife is locked behind a paywall?
it Cloud Strife costs. Hold on, let me double check the
Jesus
information here.
Christ.
I'm sorry, Cloud Strife. You need to purchase the first season pass, which costs 800 mithril. Now the game in I don't to its credit is the wrong word. The first season pass is free if you log on during season one. So if you get the game now and you log in, then you get that battle pass for free, and then you can get Cloud Strife by playing through the season pass. Obviously, that indicates though if you buy the game at a later time, you're not going to get that for free. And also, of course, future season passes are probably not going to be free, quote unquote, and have even more content locked behind it.
Zoe, when you think of Final Fantasy, what character comes to mind? Is it Butts from Final Fantasy VI? Is it the Warrior of Light from Final Fantasy 1? Is it Alpha the Chocobo from those couple of Chocobo games that came out for the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo GameCube? Is it maybe Renoa from Final Fantasy 8? No. Who is the character that you think of when you hear Final Fantasy?
I think of, well, to be honest, I think of Zidane because Final Fantasy IX was my first Final Fantasy game, but the
Aaron
second character I think of
Zidane.
is Cloud Strife in
Cloud
Final
Strife, the
Fantasy
fucking
VII.
Edgelord Supreme. Big sword. Big sword. Big fucking mental issues. Blonde spiky hair. Horny. So horny. So horny for 2 girl. Why
Very,
so
very
horny for
funny.
2 girl? Can't pick both. Just want 1 girl. Do I pick tough girl or flower girl? Who knows? It's fine. The game makes a decision for you. But honestly, like, I'm tired of microtransactions. They have been shown that in the long-term investment of, and I have articles that I will send and drop in the Discord, long-term investment with microtransactions involved in your game does not a feasible like economy. It is not, it doesn't work. It failed with Destiny and they went back to their regular model, and they're changing their model now that they have backing from Sony. We talked about it last night over at Late Night Comfort where we interviewed King LJ. The only game that it has truly worked for, the two that I think of, is Fortnite maybe, but they still get in a lot of trouble for it, and Dead by Daylight has somehow managed to skirt by it. But there is an exception to every rule. But Battlefront 2, it didn't work out, and they got rid of it. Apex Legends, they had to do a lot of adjustments for that. It is... How do I feel? How do I really feel, Brian? Thank you for asking. I'm tired. And it's not because I didn't get a lot of sleep or anything like that, but I am very tired. Excuse me, it goes Biggs Wedge to Cloud and Address and then Cloud. Okay, thank you. Biggs and Wedge is in every. Thank you. Thank you for the.
Biggs and Wedge are perfect. I think Dead by Daylight
Editor-in-Chief
manages.
Brian LaBerge, everybody.
I think Dead by Daylight manages to get away with it because not all of the content they release is something you always have to pay for. They do release chapters that are free downloadable content
Yeah.
from time to time. And there's also the fact that while it doesn't make it better, the premium currency is earnable in game. It is very hard. And obviously, the easier thing to do is just spend real money on it if you really want the stuff that you have to pay with. But there's also a lot of content that is payable through the premium currency or the in-game currency.
Yeah.
Which is not to excuse it, but to give an idea from my own experience with the game why they have managed to get away without getting in a lot of trouble over it.
They've found a way to balance it so that it isn't as evident. That's wild. I don't want to focus too much on video game news, but I also have a little bit of gaming news as well. I've got 2 bits. First one is I managed to get my greasy little paws on putting down a deposit for a Steam Deck. So expect to get a review from me about the Steam Deck. And you might be asking yourself, why did Wes, who famously bought a Nintendo Switch and couldn't say, pay attention to playing a Nintendo Switch for a long time, why would you buy a PC, a little pocket PC? Well, I can play Horizon Zero Dawn now in my jammies, in my bed. I can cry while I'm playing Elden Ring and under the covers late at night and hear trains off in the distance, and that's why. I'm excited to try it out. I can't wait to try it out. Another bit of news we have here, Nintendo has indefinitely delayed a war game over the invasion of Ukraine, and they have stopped shipments to Russia. Now, we talked about sanctions a little bit. We've gone over all of that. I am specifically talking about the Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot camp, which is the Advance Wars is a Game Boy Advance game, 1 and 2. Is one of my favorite games that was ever on the Game Boy Advance and Game Boy SP. It plays like Fire Emblem. It is a Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem style game, but you play people that go to war. And you're in tanks, and you have soldiers and paratroopers and all this stuff like that. It is a war game. But they have decided that since there is the invasion of Ukraine, they are not going to have a release date, and they are going to shelve it indefinitely. They said, Nintendo announced on their Twitter Did not make it like an active response. They just did a Twitter response. In light of recent world events, we have made the decision to delay Advance Wars 1 to Reboot Camp, which was originally scheduled to release on April 8th for the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo announced on Twitter today, please stay tuned for updates on a new release date. So they are going to release it, but it might not be a while. And I think they did it because the first game, the story revolves around a war of aggression by a neighboring country, and you are trying to defend yourself. And it is later revealed to be the orchestrated plot of a separate group with goals of weakening and destabilizing both countries to take over. But they are fictional countries. It's not real. I, for one, completely understand. I get it. I completely understand why they're doing it. They don't want to promote war and everything. I just feel like this is another thing of like, we have to look like we're doing something instead of actually kind of contributing anything. Virtue signaling, I think, is the best word for it. Like,
yeah, I will say this compared to oh god, what was the thing last week? It was with EA Sports. Am I remembering that correctly?
With FIFA, removing Russia.
FIFA removing the Russian teams.
Yeah.
This at the very least, they're doing something that doesn't necessarily help anyone involved, but they are doing something that's probably going to hurt them by not releasing a game that people presumably have been very excited for. I don't know Advanced Wars very well. I've played Advanced War inspired games, like Wargroove.
Yes, yeah.
But
I'm not gonna say that it's highly anticipated. I personally believe it's highly anticipated because I kind of I considered getting a Switch Lite for it. Because I love those games so much, because I love tactical games like that where they're not like Civ 6. Like, but like Civ 6 can sometimes, my brain dumb. Head empty, belly full, blank soft. Sometimes I don't want to do the big war games. I don't want to do the big RTSs. Sometimes I just want to do a tactics game. It's very fun, and the art style is very, I hate to say it, it's very cute. It's very well done. But yeah, I mean, I completely get it. I completely get where Miss Pretty Dreadful is coming at. Miss Pretty Dreadful saying, I just feel like people probably just don't want to do war for fun in games right now, so it's equally a marketing move, but it's also them reading the room, which makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense.
They did say apparently on March 9th, Kotaku reached out to Nintendo to ask for a statement for its position on the invasion, which Nintendo responded, while we have nothing to announce on this topic, we would like to express our concern for all those affected by the conflict. And then as of March 10th, Reuters reported that Nintendo stopped all shipment of new products to Russia, but not as a political stance, but logistical reasons. New Nintendo Switches and games won't enter the country, in quotes, for the foreseeable future due to considerable volatility surrounding the logistics of shipping and distributing physical goods.
Seems like they have given a final determination on that entire thing.
Yes.
Which, I mean, in the words of a dear friend of mine that shall not be named, last name redacted, if you know them, you know them. Go piss, girl. I don't know. Good job. Like, honestly, like, legitimately, honestly, I mean, you're gonna do whatever affects your bottom line, and if this is the, like, you know, if this is the one thing that they can do, then fucking go ahead, go off. I mean, it's not going to injure anybody not having this war game out. So, I mean, cool. It doesn't bother me. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Do you have any more video game news, Zoe?
Any more video game news? I have a very small thing that I don't have a lot to get into about it, but Wordle. Lots of people play Wordle. I play Wordle. I love Wordle. I also love the many, many Wordle offshoots like Dordle, Chortle, Quordle, Setaquordle, Bardle. Bunch of different
Hurdle, Lurdle.
aspects of Wordle. Hurdle. Yeah. I'm starting to get a little tongue-tied saying them all. But
You're
the
doing
news that came out
great.
recently is the New York Times, as we all know, purchased Wordle and has moved it to their website. They have recently shut down the Wordle archive, which allowed fans to play the backlog of Wordle puzzles.
Oh,
Um, this isn't big news in itself, but the
yeah.
current worry is that this is going to set a precedent that the New York Times is going to reach out and shut down all of these other offshoots, or at least make an attempt to.
Yeah.
It's not, like I said, it's not huge news right now that has a lot of details to it. It is more something if you are a fan of the many offshoots of Wordle, like Terra the Terrible is in the chat, who is the self-professed set of Wordle champion. It's something to keep an eye on for the future.
Yeah.
Enjoy it while you can until the New York Times tries to remove it from the internet forever.
More paywalls are soon to be coming, I assume. I don't know. This is just
Hmm.
me. This is me being very drastic and dramatic. I hope not. There is very few things providing joy in my life, and Wordle and Hurdle are those two things. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, hopefully we hear better news for that. Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Wordle archive. Gone but not forgotten. Excellent, excellent. Are we ready for our next segment?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Perfect. Coming in at 235 pounds, 6'1", fighting out of Fairmont, West Virginia. You know them. You love them. You sometimes get tremendously annoyed by them. It's Wesley with Keep It Kayfabe News. Keep It Kayfabe News. Not a lot of wrestling news today. I will say that this past Friday, I went to Friday Night SmackDown. That was live here in Birmingham, Alabama. A friend had some floor seats and asked if I wanted to go, and I said, of course I will go. And it was, once again, reminded me why I do not like WWE wrestling, because it is mostly talking and not a lot of wrestling. There were, I think, it was a 2 hour and some change, like really like a 3 hour show. But there was only about 3 to 4 matches. Sasha Banks and Naomi did a tremendous job. I love Sasha Banks and Naomi. And, you know, Sami Zayn versus Ricochet. But the New Day members, Kofi Kingston and Big E, were set to face Sheamus and Ridge Holland. Ridge Holland being a new debuter to the roster and Sheamus being an old favorite, the Celtic Warrior. During their match, Big E took a belly-to-belly suplex from Ridge Holland. Now, this is a common move for Ridge Holland to use. Ridge Holland wants to be Scott Steiner, like I said last night on Let Night Comfort. But him doing this move, which he is not very well versed and trained in, caused Big E to fracture his neck. People were worried and concerned that his neck was going to be broken. I did tell them that you said hi, Miss Petty Dreadful. I did tell them they said hi. Vince McMahon said, who? And then the rest of them said, that's very sweet, thank you. But Big E fractured his neck. People thought it was going to be a very serious injury, but Big E yesterday morning provided an update from his hospital saying that he had only fractured his C1 and his C6 vertebrae, and there was no bad nerve damage at all. There was no bad like strain or torn ligaments or anything in his neck. No surgery will be required. So he should be okay. The thing is, when you fracture your C1 and C6 vertebrae, when you're a professional wrestler, that can be a career-ending injury because it takes you a long time to recover from that. And it takes a long time for wrestlers to feel comfortable wrestling you because they don't want to do anything bad to your neck. Chris Benoit almost suffered the same thing. Stone Cold Steve Austin, whose body is racked with metal rods and painful scars and like permanent contusions within his knees and things of that nature, had the same injury happen to him, and it ruined him. So I want to shout out and say wish all the best to Big E. Big E is one of my favorite wrestlers. Very, very, yeah. He only fractured 2 neck vertebrae. What a crazy statement. He only fractured 2 vertebrae. It could have been much worse, is what I mean. Not like he only fractured two vertebrae, but it's like, thank the gods
Thank goodness
above
it
and
wasn't
below.
more.
It wasn't more, and there wasn't permanent nerve damage, and it became, permanently injured and scarred and maimed, and I'm just glad he's okay. It was very... I didn't even realize what happened until they brought out a stretcher. Because from where I was sitting, it looked like a normal bump, but they put up the X, and it looked really bad. But yeah, I hope he is going to be okay. For the rest of it, it's fine. There's a wrestler that I'm a big fan of, Pete Dunne, who debuted on the main roster, and they changed his name to Butch. I'm very sour about it. But yeah, other than that, AEW Revolution was great. Wrestling nerds are mad that CM Punk used his AFI intro from Ring of Honor. They could die mad. Wrestling nerds are always mad. That's Keep It Kayfabe news. Moving on. What do you got for us here as we go into our table talk RPG news? What do you got?
Yeah, I have some very good news from the world of tabletop RPGs, specifically itch.io. As we pointed out last week, and as everyone knows, there was a tabletop bundle to raise money for trans causes in Texas, specifically the organization's Tent and I always forget the other abbreviation. OLTT. TNT and OLTT were the organizations that Rue, a trans game developer, organized this bundle for. Initially, Rue was trying to raise $1,000 for both organizations. However, by March 7th, 5 days after the bundle was launched, the itch.io bundle had skyrocketed to over $220,000 worth in purchases. So that is some very, very, very good news. I highly recommend, if you haven't yet, going and purchasing the bundle. There are a lot of good games in it. It's a very good cause. Right now, the new goal has been set to $300,000. I believe it's going till April 4th. That's really all I had for that. Just a quick update on the itch.io bundle. Some very, very good news indeed.
I'm very happy about that. I went ahead and contributed to it, even though there was a lot of games that I already had. But it's a huge bundle, and so I went ahead and I gave what I could. That I felt comfortable giving, just because I try to sow my oats amongst different organizations. It's one of the things I like to do when I get paid. I like to spread the wealth a little bit. And it's great. It's a fantastic deal. If you're familiar with the itch bundles, if you contributed to the Black Lives Matter one, or the Palestinian crisis effort fund one, you understand that you not only get TTRPG books, but you also get actual proper video games in these bundles as well. And I don't mean to say that video games are proper and actual over, tabletop games, but you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. You're getting essays, you're getting books, zines, things of that nature.
And there really is, there's a very wide variety of different kinds of RPG content in this bundle. There's big stuff like Wanderhome and Thirsty Sword Lesbians that have become very popular among people in the TTRPG community. They also have homebrew stuff for D&D 5th edition and Pathfinder 2nd edition if you're into that. They also have weird indie TTRPGs like I talked about last time, like Jonathan Frakes is in your house and wants your attention, where you have to interact with a ghost who is disguised as Jonathan Frakes. It's
Hello there.
Even without it, obviously I should hope that everyone watching this show is interested in supporting the cause that the bundle is raising money for, but it really is also, the content's worth it.
Literally, there are multiple trans people on our staff, so I would hope that you feel comfortable with, supporting trans people. I don't know.
If you don't, why are you here?
Why the fuck are you here? Who let you
Stop
in
watching.
here? Yeah,
Go
please go away. I don't know. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Yeah.
Look. Sometimes stuff like that should be able to go without being said, but also sometimes you still have to say it because people are wildin'.
Look, tangent. There is a massive douchebag that is on Twitter. That is an OSR, old school revival head. Just a fucking nightmare of a human being who, for a while, I did not realize was following me on Twitter.
Oh
And
wow.
this guy is constantly making comments, like anti-vax comments and things of that nature. Was a Trump supporter, all this stuff, but also loves D&D and Old School Revival. Was complaining that and like tagging people that his book had been banned from a friendly local game store. I don't know. He was tagging Disney and Dimension 20 and all this shit in this. Like, I don't know. Wild.
Wild.
I don't know if you've ever seen me on Twitter, people out there on the internet. I am very actively, constantly talking about the things that are very antithetical to his beliefs. We have very different opposing viewpoints, but this motherfucker still there. I ended up blocking him, but it's like I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's wild. It's absolutely wild.
It doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, like I said, sometimes you gotta remind people.
Yep. Yep. I've got some tabletop news.
Yeah, give me what you got.
In Dungeons and Dragons news, and I typically don't talk about Dungeons and Dragons, but it's important to talk about Dungeons and Dragons because it is the world's most popular TTRPG, and it involves something that directly affects me because it's something that really kicked me off truly getting into fantasy. Recently, on Dungeons and Dragons official Twitter, the Wizards of the Coast has released a new packet of playtest materials. They typically release these playtest materials, and they're called Unearthed Arcana. It's a way for them to send out things that they've been working on, and have people of the public playtest it and tell them that it's really bad. Some of the times people say that it's good, but most of the time you've got some fucking nerd saying that it's all bad and they should go away or some. I don't. It's wild. It's wild. But this one is very important to me because it involves Dragonlance. This Unearthed Arcana is called Heroes of Crin, and the bundle includes one new lineage. I'm not going to say race for these things. They like for these like different. They really got to move past it. Pathfinder was able to do it. Why can't you catch up? They have one new subclass, multiple new backgrounds, and a selection of related feats that directly associate with Dragonlance. The Heroes of Crin bundle is free to download right now. It includes rules for creating a Kinder, which is Crin's version of the classic Halfling race. It also includes rules for the Lunar Magic Sorcerer subclass, something that Raceland was a Lunar Mage. Also has two new backgrounds, the Knight of Solamnia and the Mage of High Sorcery, also aligned with Dragonlance lore. Wizards indicated that, as with all playtest materials, that these rules are in draft form. They are usable in your campaign, but they are not refined by final development. Now, if you're not familiar with Dragonlance, it was created in the 1980s by Laura Hickman and Tracy Hickman, and then Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss wrote a series of novels, starting with Dragons of Autumn Twilight, that got TSR a lot of money. Recently in 2020, there was a $10 million lawsuit against WotC, but those issues were eventually smoothed over outside of court, and now a new Dragonlance trilogy is being written, which is the first book, Dragons of Deceit, is set for August 9th, which is my birthday. If you're thinking, hey, I wonder what I should get Wes for their birthday, I don't know. Maybe get me the book that's related to the fantasy series that got me involved with doing fantasy stuff. You don't have to, though. You are by no means under any obligation to get me any gifts. Which is an idea.
You're gonna get 6 copies of that book in the mail now, I hope you know.
Then I will fucking keep 1 copy for myself, and I will put 5 copies in the little lending libraries in my neighborhood. Along with my old copies of Dragons of Autumn Twilight. I, for one, am very excited. I know there are people complaining about Kinder. Do you know much about Kinder?
Yeah, I read a couple of the Dragonlance books back when I was in middle school. My dad was a big TSR collector. He was like on the mailing list and everything. He had a bunch like bookshelf, like shelves and shelves and shelves of all these paperbacks. And I read a couple of them. It's been a very long time, and it's been a series that I've meant to revisit now that I'm older and have more focus for books like that I did not have when I was younger.
Indeed.
I may be thinking of a different lineage in the Dragonlance books, are Kender the ones that can't feel fear?
Kinder are not. I mean, so they have an aversion to fear.
Okay,
I had a really weird inflection at the end. I'm sorry, my voice is raw from wrestling. I apologize.
you're good.
Um, they have like they're not. They can feel fear, but it doesn't affect them
Mhm.
the same way. Kinder are
Okay.
notorious because they don't understand personal property,
Hmm.
which a lot of people boil down and oversimplify to the fact that they're thieves, and that is actually kind of a very harmful stereotype that these little tiny people are like thieves. All of them are. But actually, in the lore proper, Kinder are just in their society. If somebody owns something, everybody owns it. It's a part of the community. So
Oh yeah.
Tasselhoff Burfoot, which is the Kinder like protagonist in the series,
Hmm.
constantly is using things of his like party mates, and it's just like grabbing things and using them and then handing them back to these people, and people are like, "Oh, Tasselhoff, you old thief!" And he goes, "I'm not a thief. It's just in my nature." That kind of thing. Very
Hmm.
a roguish like Kinder, which
Real scamp.
I have seen a lot of people kind of mad that they've included Kinder or they haven't reworked Kinder because they're like, well, they just added a bunch of thieves, and it's like, well, no, you have to be able, like most things in life, you should be able to look at them with nuance. I don't know.
If if people are mad because they're worried a bunch of people are going to start playing Kender as an excuse to steal things,
They have literally never played Dungeons and
I have,
Dragons in their life.
yeah, I got news for you. It's called Edgelords playing Rogue and saying, well, of course I'm going to steal from my party while they're asleep. It's just what my character would
We
do.
loot the
Uh,
dead. We loot the
you know,
dead. What loot did we get? We loot the dead. These are things that you
you
hear at your
could,
table all the time.
yeah. You don't need Kender to do that. You could write rogues out completely. You could make it like a core rule that you can not be anything but some form of good in the game. Those kind of players will always find an excuse to be the worst at their table.
Indeed.
That's just
Indeed.
how it goes sometimes, and that's not just for D&D. That is for pretty much any game ever, in my experience at least.
The next time somebody says I'm chaotic neutral, so it's in character, just go ahead and ask them what's the best way to chaotically neutralize their ass, um,
Got
and
him.
just stare at them.
Uh, I'm I'm excited about a mechanical aspect that this Unearthed Arcana has brought up, which I'm D&D and Pathfinder are games that I've definitely grown away from as I've explored more games, but there is something I enjoy about the character advancement in Pathfinder or D&D 3.5, which are very, very similar mechanically.
Yeah.
In the same way, like, playing any kind of like RPG video game and like skill trees and stuff, there is something very satisfying about building that, watching it grow, and being able to customize. I like the idea that they might be bringing like some form of feat trees to fifth edition, because they have that near at the very end of the Unearthed Arcana. They have feats that you can get for these characters, and some of them have prerequisites, which from what I understand, and people can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but that was completely removed from fifth edition. I don't think there are any feats. There are no feats in fifth edition. Well, first off, feats are an alternative role, but also I
Yeah.
don't think there are any feats in fifth edition that require you to have a different feat before you can take it. And they'll have other requirements, like you need to be able to like be a spellcaster or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But none of them. There is no feat tree aspect
Yes.
as of right now, which Heroes of Crin changes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's super simplified comparatively. It only goes up to fourth level.
Yes.
Fourth level feats that require you to be fourth level and have one of the previous feats mentioned. But I don't know, it's a neat bit of customization that I feel fifth edition is lacking, and one of the reasons I don't like it as much as most people do, because it feels like there's only so much you can do with it, and if you
Indeed.
play a bunch, you're eventually gonna every class feels very similar. Even with the specialties you get at third level, there are still the differences that those come with are not as expansive as they could be, is my opinion anyway.
Not a lot of customization.
Yeah.
It really puts all the work on the player to really define and diversify their character than it does mechanically wise, which I get, which I'm reading through Pathfinder right now, second edition. And
Yeah.
I am truly enjoying the amount of options. It is almost overwhelming, but I'm truly enjoying the bevy of options that you have as a player and as a dungeon master or game master, to really let it run wild.
Yeah, I enjoy what Pathfinder Second Edition brings a lot comparatively.
Yeah, I can't wait to actually play it one of these days. One of these days.
Right?
One of
that's
these days.
that's about how I feel with that too.
Yeah, indeed. All right, do we have any more tabletop RPG news?
Yeah, I have one more thing that I
Ooh.
have. Remember last week when we talked about the new cover for Hunter the Reckoning? Or,
Oh,
I'm sorry, the released cover for Hunter the Reckoning is what I should say.
oh, fuck yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, did you know that Renegade Game Studios listened to what literally everyone on the internet had to say about the cover and changed it?
Literally everybody except for one person on the internet said that they hated it. Why did you do this? And like you said, Renegade listened and they changed the cover. I'm going to go ahead and switch us over here so we can look at it over here on the
Yeah.
stream here. I've got on my fancy dancy doodad machine. Yeah, so here is the core rulebook for Hunter the Reckoning 5th edition. As you can tell by this watermark here, it is another photo done by Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly, also known as Grim Ventures on Twitter. Shout out Mark Kelly, the creator of a hit game known as that is yet to be released. That I kickstarted in full, called Solemn Veil. On our YouTube, we have a 2-part series called Run to the Hills about Solemn Veil. It's very good. Go check it out. And they have some more games coming out, Sigma Syndrome, things of that nature. What are your thoughts on this cover immediately?
I really like it. I like it a lot. It's everything about it is what we talked about last week with matching the aesthetic and vibe of the art that was inside of the book more. It has a much nicer palette. It is much more aesthetically pleasing to look at.
Indeed.
Everything on it makes sense contextually.
Mm-hmm.
I It's really good. It's really good. I like it a lot. I really like it.
It's also got the benefit of having Lady with a gun on the front, which,
Yeah, that's always a plus.
look, I love me. See, I love everybody. We all know that, bless my poor little pansexual heart. I love everybody. I have, my preferences are all. There's just something about a tough lady. I just love tough lady. Like, I love tough lady. And like I agree with you. I'm glad that they're fitting the aesthetic of the artwork that is inside the book. Um, I'm glad that they're sticking to the color palette. I really like the orange. I really like the black and white with orange that pops. I think that's a very stark difference to the vibe that Vampire, pardon me, the Masquerade 5th edition had, which was very purple and red. I think this is like with the orange, it stands out. It's brighter. It reminds me of daytime, sunny.
Yeah.
But sunny, but not in like a happy way. Sunny in like almost an oppressive way, which I really dig. Yeah, no, I co-sign. I sign off. Like I have a fucking nobody gives a fuck about what I think except for particularly one person on the internet that talk about it later. But like,
Okay.
no, it's too much to get into. I don't run off on too many tangents here. We're already running hog wild. But no, I mean, I think this is great. I think this is fantastic. I love Mark Kelly's work. I am honestly like waiting to commission him or just to like buy something from him. Because he does fantastic. His work is all throughout the Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition and V20, all over the place. Go check out Mark Kelly's work. Grim Ventures on Twitter. It is not going to disappoint. I'm also. Is it rude of me to say that I'm surprised that they listened to everybody and changed it?
I was having that same thought. I've been trying to figure out if I'm surprised or not because I feel like somebody said last week, I can't remember who said it in the chat, and I apologize for not remembering who you were if you are watching today. Someone said something about putting out something that would not appeal to people on purpose so that it gained a lot of traction and then they would change it and then basically releasing something
Yeah.
not well done as a marketing strategy, which people have accused other companies of doing before. The same as accusations, quote unquote, came out with the Sonic the Hedgehog
Sonic the
movie, if you
movie.
remember,
Yep. Yep.
when that first draft of Sonic came out, and then
I remember
everyone
this,
got
Chief.
mad about it. They they re-released the trailer with a much better Sonic, and then the question was like, well, why didn't they just do that in the first place? And then conspiracy theories, oh, they did it on purpose to get people talking about the movie, so that when something good actually was released with it, it had that traction already.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. That's getting really into the weeds for me. I I am not a marketing person. I feel on one hand, I feel like it's wild to release something bad
Yeah.
as a marketing strategy, but also would I have heard about Hunter 5th edition
Hmm.
if that cover hadn't come out? Probably not.
I mean,
Probably not.
you would have heard
Well,
about it from me.
I would have heard. Yeah, I
You,
would have heard about it
I
from you.
love Hunter.
But
I
like
love Hunter. It's great.
in my general existence, Hunter
Yeah.
5th edition would not be something that was on my radar probably
Yeah.
until it like came out. But that cover had everyone on Twitter talking about it.
Fucking Wild West. Have I told you how much I don't like discourse?
Yes.
I
Yes, you have.
Yeah. I just wish that people could talk like decent human beings with each other about things like this and just like
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been trying to be more positive, which as you can tell by my sunny demeanor today, I'm very positive today. But no, I'm trying to like have more positive interactions on the internet.
Mhm.
Um, it was brought to my attention, and it's something that I noticed that I was really drawing a lot of negativity to myself, and it in a very like even like subconscious way, but it's just like just poking bees nests. And so I am practicing mindfulness. I am practicing meditation. I'm going to therapy. I've always been going to therapy, but just trying to be a more positive person. And I just, oh God, sometimes I just want to have discussions with people, and then people get all in the defensive because Twitter is made to only field hot takes and not actual like useful discussion. And I have to remind
Yeah.
myself of that. But yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
very happy. I'm very happy. I'm a happy little camper about Hunter the Fifth, the Hunter the Fifth Edition. No, Hunter the Reckoning Fifth Edition. And
I'm also
that's the thing is, I was going to purchase the game already, even with the shitty emo album cover on it. I was just going to put a book sleeve over it.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for the game. I don't know a lot about the World of Darkness setting outside of Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah.
And from my understanding of Hunter, it was what I read an article about why they were doing Hunter, and it made sense to me as like an entry point for people who don't know much about World of Darkness because Hunter supposedly interacts with all the aspects because
Yeah.
they're hunters. So I'm super interested in it. Like you said, even without a better cover, I was interested in the content as I heard more about it. But
Yeah.
I'm very excited for it to come out.
Agreed. Completely agreed. Fantastic. All right, moving on. What
Yeah.
we have here, we're getting closer to what people came here for. We've got Movie Minute. Also love that in quotation marks I put or some shit because
Movie minute or some shit. You know what? That's fair because I have some movie news for you, and I have news that is movie adjacent. Which would you like first?
I love movie news.
Movie news, great. I have some exciting casting news that just
Mhm.
came out for DC's Blue Beetle. I don't know if how aware people are of the Blue Beetle movie that's coming out.
I'm so excited. That's
What
me being
we
excited.
knew, Yeah. What we knew before is that Shola Maraduena, who is a breakout star from Netflix's Cobra Kai, is going to star as Jamie Reyes, the alter ego of the titular Blue Beetle. Recent casting that was announced is Bruna Marquezine. Bruna Marquezine is going to be playing. Oh boy, I tell you, I took notes on all of this. Um, I just got to find where I wrote them, but I have it right here. Bruna Marquezine is playing Penny, Jamie Reyes' love interest in the film. Also, just recently announced, Belissa Escobedo has been cast as Jamie's younger sister, Milagros Reyes. What We Do in the Shadows star Harvey Guillen has also joined the cast, although his role has not been announced yet. That one I'm very excited for, mostly because I am a very big What We Do in the Shadows fan.
I bet it. You know what? I bet it's the villain.
You think it's the villain?
I bet it's the villain.
See, so I don't know a lot about Blue Beetle. DC heroes, I know some stuff. Blue Beetle has always escaped my what you call it. It's always been on the periphery.
Yeah.
Like I've seen stories of him in other books, but I've never really dug that deep into the Blue Beetle lore. So tell me about Blue Beetle villains and tell me who you think Harvey Guillen is playing.
So, the Blue Beetle is a character that has had three different iterations. There has been Blue Beetle's his introduction, where he was God, what is his fucking name? I remember Ted Cord. Ted Cord was one of the most the most well known ones. And then with the Charlton Comics run, there was this original guy, but Dan Garrett. Dan Garrett was the original, but Blue Beetle. They originally started as a mystical scarab that gave Dan Garrett his powers.
Okay.
And then Ted Cord, who was the most popular one up until recently with Jaime Reyes, is was a very well off man who was essentially the I guess like mentee of Dan Garrett, and Dan Garrett kind of like passed the mantle on to Ted Cord. Ted Cord is famously Booster Gold's best friend. If you're aware of Booster Gold, time traveling
We know
hero
Booster
from the
Gold.
future. But yes, I love Booster Gold. I have been called multiple times that if there was a DC superhero that I most like, it is not Green Arrow like I suspected people to say. It is Booster Gold, and I don't know if that's an insult or not. I'm gonna pretend that it's a compliment. Uh, but then now you have the most famous one, not most famous, but the most recent and a little bit more popular one, which is Jaime Reyes, who is Latinx, is Tejano, and is great because you got Zolo playing him, which is fantastic, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited for there to be Latin representation in DC. I think that is very important, and I think that Jaime Reyes is a wonderful jumping off point to introduce this character, and I'm so excited that he's getting his own film. Thinking about his I don't know, his rogues gallery is going to be interesting, because Blue Beetle's rogues gallery is not very well known, as much as you would say somebody like Superman or Batman. There's no really Brainiac. But if I had to think of anybody that might be a extended long time villain, it would probably be maybe Dr. Polaris, who is a guy that uses magnetism for bad. Pretty great. And that would really fit with Harvey Guillen as being like a master of magnetism, kind of campy, but is manipulating metal for poor stuff.
Yeah, I'm into that.
But yeah, but no, I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Blue Beetle is fantastic. If you want to get more familiar with Blue Beetle, I highly recommend you picking up Blue Beetle Volume 1, the DC Rebirth stuff. It is some of the good stuff that happened with DC Rebirth. A lot of it is not
I
fantastic.
I did pick up. I remember reading the Rebirth book when it came out. That restarted the whole DC universe, except not
Mm-hmm.
really.
Mm-hmm.
The details are kind of fuzzy because it was all very, very confusing.
Yes.
Um, but I do remember seeing Blue Beetle in that. I
Mm-hmm.
remember there was some implication between Blue Beetle and Doctor Manhattan that I don't remember how legitimate that was.
Oh yeah. What a doozy to get into.
Yeah, comics are weird.
They
Comics are
are.
wild. Comics are weird. Comics are weird already. It's especially weird to here's my DC Rebirth hot take.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I started trying to get into comics with DC Rebirth
Yeah.
because they're like Rebirth's coming out, they're rebooting the DC universe. It's a great place to start from. Like, cool, dope. I start reading Rebirth. That's not what they were doing. It wasn't a reboot of the DC universe. It
No.
was a super complicated thing that they were doing that didn't make any
It
sense.
was indeed.
Um, and
It made the
but
new
that's
it
also
made the new 52 look simple.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'll check out Blue Beetle Volume 1. I'm interested to know more before the movie comes out.
Um,
Uh,
I just wanna also
yeah.
shout out Miss Betty Dreadful. That is correct. He also has the Green Lantern thing where he fights other beetles sometimes with their different colors, but not just other beetles, other insects and other kind of creatures similar. You have praying
Wild.
mantis man, Mr. Crab, Black Beetle,
Mr. Krabs?
Mr. Crab, two B's.
Gotcha.
Literally just a man that rides a giant robotic scorpion. I don't know why they call him Mr. Crab, but you know, fucking
That's hmm hmm.
comics, Zoe. They're
Comics are
wild.
weird. Comics are weird. If you take anything from this show today, it's that
Mm.
comics are weird.
I did
True, lots of bugs do not like him.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That's a bit. I did also notice that somebody else that could be a potential villain,
Hmm.
but it probably wouldn't be like a major villain, but it would be a good role for Harvey Guillen. There's this guy named the Muse, who is Richard Paranon, who is the son of a crime lord named Vincent Paranon. Perion, sorry. Dom Perignon, yeah, Vincent Perignon, and he was so tired of living in his dad's shadow, and he wanted to be an actor, but he wasn't a good enough actor, so he put on a Harlequin suit and started robbing banks. Um,
Wild.
yeah, yeah, that is. You know what? I hope Harvey plays the Beetle themselves. That is a very important thing because when Jaime Reyes is introduced, it is a piece of alien technology that crashed on Earth, and it
Hmm.
fused to Jaime's back, and it speaks to him.
Oh
So
shit.
I'm
Okay.
wondering if it might be a voice role, and that's why they're
That
keeping
would
it
be
secret.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
If you also want to get the Blue Beetle, I highly suggest Young Justice.
Yeah, Tara the Terrible mentioned that earlier in the chat that she knows
Yes.
Blue Beetle mostly from Young Justice.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
I will check those things out and I will expand my Blue Beetle knowledge. Hey,
I will buy a margarita for Miss Petty Dreadful. If that ends up being the case.
hell yeah. Hey, do you want some more casting news from the movie world?
I fucking love casting news. If I can talk
Yeah.
about a little piece of news that I have real quick.
Oh, sure, please.
What's up, salutes? Do you like romance shows, movies? Do you like Regency era stuff? Are you a fan of Bridgerton? Well, guess what? Bridgerton? Guess what, babies? Bridgerton Season 2 trailer dropped, and it looks like it's gonna be fucking spicy. This time it's focused on Jonathan Bailey's character, the Viscount Anthony Bridgerton, and how he has his sights set on a newcomer in the court, who is Miss Edwina Sharma, who is played by Charithra Chandran, which is they are providing more POC actors roles, which is great. Even though they kind of shot themselves in the foot with it with one line in the first season of Bridgerton. It was doing so well until that one little part of the episode, and I was just like, well, that took me out of it. But yeah, if you don't know, Bridgerton is a Regency romance novel series that has been turned into a popular Netflix series that took the world by storm when it was released in the fucking pandemic. I loved it, particularly because I love Regency era romance. I am a big softie at heart, even though I seem very so tough. Ooh, so tough. But it has become so popular that not only is Bridgerton getting this season, they have been approved for 3 more seasons. So, if you hate Bridgerton, I'm so fucking sorry. It must suck to be you because you don't get to enjoy nice things like this, and it's not going anywhere. And that's all I wanted to say. Did you watch Bridgerton?
Yeah, I have not watched Bridgerton. I don't know a lot about it. It was not something that was on my radar when the pandemic first started. It is something that I've meant to go back to and watch.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said last week, I have so much on my backlog. But with season 2 coming out, and considering you are super into it, and Miss Petty Dreadful is super into it, and Leslie Wombat is super into it, everyone seems really into Bridgerton. I
Oz is
have
also
severe.
into it.
Oz is into it. Well,
Yeah.
hey Wes, did you know that I have severe FOMO and am easily pressured into doing things that everyone else is doing?
I know now, and I'm going to utilize that for good and not bad. I
Uh,
promise.
I will probably be watching Bridgerton in time for season 2, so I can catch up and be part of the conversation.
Yes, yes, at Brian LeBurge.
Bridgerton has
Bridgerton
butts?
has butts.
Okay,
It
well, I'm
has
sold.
perfectly shaped butts all over it. And I'm talking man butts. I'm talking about lady butts. There might even be a they them butt. It's been a while. I don't know. Who fucking knows? Look, it's garbage, and I fucking love it. Because it's garbage that was made for me. This is
Oh,
my
yeah.
Netflix hole. It was made for me. I'm going to crawl into it, and I'm going to watch Bridgerton.
Miss Petty Dreadful, I will absolutely message you my Bridgerton takes when I go watch it.
What's also great, yeah, what's also great, yes, 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 yes. Somebody mentioned the violin pop covers. They took popular pop songs like "Girls Like You" by Maroon 5, a Taylor Swift song. I don't know. I don't listen to T Swift. Get in the comments. In the words of Brendan Lee Mulligan, get in the comments. Billie Eilish, there was Vitamin String Quartet covers, and they're gorgeous and they're beautiful. It made me.
Wild.
I listened to a T Swift song and I was like, I actually like this. Then listened to the original song and I was like, I hate this tremendously. I'm going back to the violin cover. But yeah, and each season is going to
I
focus on a different sibling, which is because each of the novels are dedicated to a different sibling, so they're gonna it's gonna shift. So
Okay.
so it's always fresh new storylines. People having
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sex, but they gotta be secret because they live in the Regency era England, and it's unseemly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sometimes you don't have sex, and people think that you're gonna have sex, and so you have to get married, and so you're just like, okay, I really stepped in it this time. It's great. It's great
I
trash.
hate when I have to get married because people think I'm having sex. Literally 0 out of 10.
Look, not to talk about my sex life, but moving on to your bit of news.
Yeah, I have another piece of casting news for you. Well, I say casting news, it's not quite casting, not yet, although I'll be very excited if it becomes casting news. Uh, Stephen Yun, famous for playing Glenn in The Walking Dead, is being looked at for the role of Mr. Negative in the fourth Spider-Man movie. The fourth Sony and Marvel Spider-Man movie, I should say. Obviously, it's like the 10th one. I don't know. I'm bad at counting, but I'm very excited about that. This came from a trusted and proven inside source for giantfreakinrobot.com. This is where this news is coming from. Uh, I am not familiar with Mr. Negative from the comics. However, like pretty much everyone who is a fan of Spider-Man and had a PS4, I played the Spider-Man game, which featured, spoiler alert for Spider-Man on the PS4, featured Mr. Negative as one of the main villains in that game. I dug him so much. He is so cool. I had never seen or heard of Mr. Negative before that. I think he's rad as hell. Um, and I think Steven Yeun is rad as hell. I would very much like to see him as Mr. Negative in the fourth Spider-Man movie. I think that would be sick as shit.
Um, yeah, no, Mr. Negative's great. He's got a Jekyll and Hyde kind of power thing going
Hmm.
on,
Hmm.
where Mr. Negative, the character when he is not negative, he literally like here I can go ahead and show you all. He literally goes negative, like palette swapped. It's
Yeah,
great. And he has a gang of ancient history mask wearing goons, his inner demons that follow him around and fight for him. But like that's the thing is he's a philanthropist, an entrepreneur, and like wants to help the city and like wants to help it rebuild and wants to help poor people and hungry people, but he funds it when he goes negative and goes evil, and he funds it by crime, which is wild. I don't think that there's technically anything wrong with that, but we don't need to talk about my opinions of the law right now. But yeah, no, I'm very excited. I love Mr. Negative. In the comics, he's fantastic. He's done very well. And I don't know about you, but Steven Yeun is hot, hot, hot.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
He is.
Minari, fantastic film. Go watch Steven Yeun and Minari. It's do yourself a favor. It's a beautiful film. It's about a Korean family that moves to America and tries to start a new life there, and it's fantastic. And if you want to be in love with Glenn from The Walking Dead, but he's like a bad boy. He's like actually really super fucking toxic, and you know how much we love being into toxic people. Burning. Burning is a fantastic film. Go ahead and check that out. It is beautiful. Um, and it made me cry, but not from tears. It made me cry from anxiety, and it's really great. I love movies that make me cry from anxiety. I promise you, I'm not even joking. Like I honestly love movies that make Wild at Heart, one of David Lynch's best movies, my favorites. But yeah, I'm excited. I
Yeah,
I hope this is true.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah, I really hope it's true too. Yeah. What more can I say? I love everything. Like everything you talked about, everything I just said. It's all really, really good, really good, and really exciting. It's also It'll also be nice for the Sony and Marvel movies to give Spider-Man his own villain, which I know isn't a unique take,
Yeah.
but isn't inaccurate. I think considering we
No.
have the Vulture who was mad at Tony Stark, Mysterio who was mad at Tony Stark, and then villains who were mad at different Peter Parkers.
Yeah.
Spoilers for No
That
Way
we're
Home,
not mad
I
at
guess.
our Peter Parker.
Yeah,
That yeah, no, I look, I love Tom Holland. Tom Holland has big golden retriever energy, and I think he's a great Peter Parker. He's a great
yeah.
Spider-Man. And I will not take your slander right now. Get in the comments. At me on Twitter. Argue with me in Discord. Discord.gg/Carrying Comfort Studios. Um, or Carrying Comfort. Yeah, I think Tom Holland is great. He's my favorite Spider-Man. But I completely agree with you that I am tired of Uncle Tony. I'm tired of like the whole just, Tony. Can we just let Tony Stark be dead?
I would love that, to
And I'm
be
saying that,
honest.
and we talked last weekend about Doctor Strange, the new Doctor Strange movie, and how Tony Stark might be in it, but that's a different Tony Stark. It might be Superior Iron Man, and I like that because Superior Iron Man's an asshole, and I would like to see somebody be like Stark, and then imagine I'm Benedict Cumberbatch and I'm doing my terrible American accent. Stark, is that
Mhm.
you? And he goes, I'm not Stark. I'm Iron Man. When he's like all silver and stuff like that, and he beats the crap out of him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I follow.
Oh yes, 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 yes. Tony Stark built this suit in a cave with a box of scraps. Yeah, yeah, that good stuff.
Obadiah.
Obadiah Stane.
Dang, it's wild. Sorry. My last tangent. It's wild to think about how all of this stuff started back in 2008. Is
I
that right? Is that when the first Iron Man came out?
I know I was definitely depressed back then, but in 2008, when the first Iron Man came out, I just think I didn't understand it, so I was happier in that time in my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I'm not saying there's a direct correlation with my depression in the MCU, but there was been a severe escalation with the more movies that come out.
You heard it here first. The MCU is tanking all of our mental health. It is the true force of evil in this world. Sorry.
Go watch some cartoons; they're better for you. Oh God.
Do you have any other movie news?
Do I have any other movie news? I do not have any movie news. But I do have some TV show news. That's right, I'm the TV show guy this round. We talked about Bridgerton, and you know what we're doing? We're talking about OBI WAN KENOBI.
Woo!
This kind of ties into what we're getting into next. But I want to preface this by saying something. Currently, Disney, who has always been bad, evil company, but they make people happy. And we live in capitalism, and there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. But they have recently been getting a lot of flack because it has come to light that they have been donating money to a lot of politicians that do not like gay and trans people. And due to that, I don't want to promote a lot of products from Disney, but it is very important for us to talk about the news. I wanted to preface that with saying it. Also, I have a big fucking fangirl crush over Ian McGregor. I am not a huge fan of Star Wars, but it is a big part of my life, and the fact that I cannot get away from it. I am a nerd. So what we have for you is the OBI WAN KENOBI official trailer starring Ewan McGregor. It is 1 minute and 47 seconds. I would like for all of us to watch it together. And then we can provide our insight and our takes on it. And then we can move on to our next segment. Do you agree, Zoe?
Yeah, can I say something real quick before we start the trailer?
Please do.
Because it did come out recently because of all of the controversy and many important voices in the Disney creative world speaking out against it.
Shout out Dana Terrace.
Yeah. Bob Chapek came out and made an apology for the memo that went out, that went viral. And I know what you're thinking, just an apology, that's not anything, and I would agree with you. Actions speak louder than words. He did say, starting immediately, we are increasing our support for advocacy groups to combat similar legislation in other states. We're hard at work creating a new framework for our political giving that will ensure our advocacy better reflects our values. Today, we are pausing all political donations in the state of Florida pending this review. A lot of words, not a lot of actions right now, but that did happen after the memo went out. There was also one more part of that story. Chapek pledged $5 million to the Human Rights Campaign, but the HRC leadership rejected the offer, saying the Human Rights Campaign will not accept this money from Disney until we see them build on their public commitment and work with LGBTQ plus advocates to ensure that dangerous proposals like Florida's Don't Say Gay or Trans bill don't become dangerous laws. While Disney took a regrettable stance by choosing to stay silent amid political attacks against LGBTQ plus families in Florida, including hardworking families employed by Disney, today they took a step in the right direction, but it was merely the first step.
So, it sounds like there have been positive developments from that.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully that continues in that way.
I am hopeful because there are a lot of people in my life. I do not have a strong connection to Disney. I was a Six Flags kid because my family did not have a lot of money. And we did not have we didn't have the means. I'm not going to say just money, but we didn't have the means to go to Disney World or Disneyland. I have never been to a Disney park before. I have no connection to it. So it's very easy for me to separate myself from this. I literally do not pay for Disney Plus. When I was watching the Mando and all those other shows, I was watching it on another person's account. Sue me, Disney Plus. You have made a feature where you can have multiple profiles. Don't get mad at me for using it, motherfuckers. But yeah, But I know how important Disney movies are to people, and there are Disney movies that are important to me. Atlantis: The Lost Empire is a movie that I'm very fond of. Treasure Planet is one of my favorites that I have ever seen when it comes to Disney animation, and I think there needs to be more justice for Treasure Planet. I think it is a fantastic motherfucking movie, and it does not get enough love. But keeping that said, the only thing that I want to say is that stealing from large companies is not unethical. It is wealth distribution. And that is all I'm going to say on that matter, because I don't want things to be held against me. But I will say it again for those at the back. Stealing from large corporations is not theft. It is wealth distribution. Anything else, Zoe?
No, I agree. I agree with what you said, and I have nothing more to add to it.
Fantastic. I am not telling you to pirate Obi-Wan. I am not telling you to do that. But if somebody was to so happen put a screen in front of you that had a torrented episode of Obi-Wan, I would say that's like a car crash. You just can't not look at it. It has Ewan McGregor in it. You ready to watch this trailer, Zoe?
Hell yeah, let's watch it.
Thank you for your updates on Bob Chapek, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Even though he apologized, and I hope that he does better, he is still a tremendous piece of shit. But,
oh, yeah.
we know that.
Like I said, not actions,
yeah.
Not words. We all know.
We all know. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. Let's... Obi-Wan! Immediately. Tatooine. More Tatooine. So people are going to be mad about that.
Mm-hmm.
We lost.
I'm so sorry.
Stay hidden.
The key to hunting Jedi is patience.
Sorry.
We'll talk about it.
Jedi
We'll talk
cannot
about it.
help what they are. Their compassion leaves a trail.
Oh, he's so hot. I'm sorry. Joel Edgerton is just a very attractive
The
man.
Jedi code is like an itch.
No, and Indira Varma's in this show. God damn it.
Cannot help it. Where is he?
The lightsaber's really cool, though.
That's the fifth brother.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Fantastic. So, I do want to say something.
Welcome back to New Rockstars.
Shut up, Eric Voss. Shut up, Eric Voss. I love Eric Voss, but shut up, please. Every time I hear the Duel of the Fates start, have you ever had Sprite from a soda stream, a soda gun, There's nothing like Sprite from a soda machine or a soda like bottled and canned Sprite just doesn't do it. There's just something crispy. There's just something crispy about a fresh Sprite out of the gun. And every time I hear Duel of the Fates, I get tingles. It's like the same. It's the same exact feeling. It's really good music.
It's so good. It's so good. It is so fucking good. Best Star Wars music. Don't at me. Don't come for me. We'll never do a Star Wars music bracket because there's only one answer, and it's Duel of the Fates. Duel of the Fates is in every slot. Duel of the Fates wins. Duel of the Fates for everything ever.
You've obviously never heard the Han Solo rap from the Star Wars Connect dance game. I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo. It's just writing Solo, but it's Han Solo.
I hate it. I hate it so much. Anyway, what what do you want to talk about with the trailer first? Because there are cool things, and then there are also things that are not as cool as they probably should be.
I have been very negative today on the stream, so I would like
Uh,
for us to talk about the things that we like first.
yeah, let's talk about the things we like. You know what I really like?
Yeah.
Uh, well, the lightsabers, like I said, the lightsabers are sick as shit. But the big thing, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen are back.
Yo.
I'm so happy. I think, let me tell you,
Okay.
the prequels aren't good. The
You're
prequels as a whole are not good.
You're telling me.
I think Hayden Christensen
Mm-hmm.
gets more flack than he deserves, very similar to Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart in Twilight. I think all three of them aren't bad actors. They were in bad movies with bad direction.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hayden Christensen, there are some parts in those movies where he fucking is killing it. Same thing with like oh my god, Ian McGregor has moments where he is falling flat on his face, and that man is a very talented actor. No one's going to argue against that. But when you are in a bad movie with bad dialogue and a bad direction, that's what comes out of it.
Attachment is forbidden. Possession is forbidden.
Yeah, like how are you
Which
how are
I
you
would
supposed to say
define
some of
as
those words?
unconditional love is essential to a Jedi's life. So you might say that we are encouraged to love.
I'm excited for him to come back and have good stuff to
Redemption,
hopefully
yeah.
good stuff to work at.
Yeah.
Work with. Yeah.
I think having Darth Vader involved is one of those things in Star Wars that it doesn't fucking matter how Darth Vader's involved. People are going to pop over it. I remember playing Jedi Fallen Order, and spoiler alert for a game that came out a few years ago, Darth Vader shows up in Jedi Fallen Order, and it is literally the most badass entrance ever. He's been teased the entire time, and he just literally shows up, and it is terrifying.
It is a hopeless boss fight at the very end of the game where there is no fighting. You just have to run. It is so fucking cool.
You have to survive.
Yeah.
And then also Rogue One.
Yeah.
It's fucking...
Yeah, he does come out in Rogue One, doesn't he? The only thing with Rogue One is it's very funny to go from that to A New Hope, where it's the very slow battle, and it's just one of those things where you have to suspend your disbelief and remember that one of those movies came out a very long time ago, and one of those movies did not. That said, the only thing I do, I'm not sure if I want OBI WAN and Darth Vader to have any significant interaction. I think I agree with the people who say it doesn't make sense.
Yep. Agreed.
But then there's also a part of me that wants to see it anyway, even though I know it's wrong. But that is just me as just being a fanatic.
In Star Wars Rebels, so I've talked about it before. I do not like the main property movies a lot in the Star Wars series, besides the first two movies in the original trilogy. There's parts that I like, but there's parts that I don't. There's a lot of parts that I really don't like in those, prequels and sequel trilogies. It feels so weird to say prequel and sequel trilogies. Fucking God, just fucking get a new show. Goddamn. But no, like, I am a big fan of Star Wars Rebels. I think Star Wars Rebels is honestly a great, fantastic TV show, and that's where the Grand Inquisitor comes from, and that's where the Inquisitors showed up. Which, if you don't know, the Inquisitors are Force-sensitive soldiers and people that were trained by Darth Vader to hunt and kill Jedi. So you gotta imagine how intense that must be. They're done very well, and there's a lot of diversity amongst them because you have a lot of femme Inquisitors. You have alien inquisitors. You got big, dumb, big, strong inquisitors, and then you got like slinky kind of inquisitors. I think Star Wars Clone Wars is a fantastic piece of property. Mandalorian is fantastic. I like Book of Boba Fett. That's right, I said it. I like Book of Boba Fett. Get over it, nerds. I like Solo. I like Rogue One. Like, because the thing is, I'm not fucking interested in Skywalker. Like, I'm sorry. We have had 9 fucking movies about this one family that has single-handedly fucked up the entire galaxy for years.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking, it's like The Sopranos. It's over. Find a new show. Like, come on.
Exhausting.
Yeah, it's very exhausting. But the things that I like from this, we are seeing Obi-Wan survive. It seems like it reminded me of The Fugitive. Have you ever seen that TV show or that movie? I love chase movies. No Country for Old Men. I got some No Country for Old Men vibes. And Ewan McGregor looks fucking fantastic.
Yeah, he does.
Like, he looks so fucking good. I am so excited for him. I love the casting. Indira Varma, if you don't know who Indira Varma is, she was in the much maligned seasons of Game of Thrones where they go to Dorne. She's a talented voice actor and then a very talented actor. But she has been all over the place. She's a character actor. She does great. My boy Han from Fast and the Furious, Sung Kang, is the 5th brother, I think. Probably, which makes sense because that character is very influenced by Korean and Japanese culture. So it'll be very interesting to see that on the screen. It seems like our head Inquisitor, that's like the main antagonist, is a black woman, which that means we get a compelling black character on screen in Star Wars. Hopefully we get a compelling black character in Star Wars. Maybe somebody. Fucking J.J. Abrams. Fucking Ryan Johnson.
Finn was done dirty. Finn was done dirty by that whole series. Finn deserved better. Finn deserves so much fucking better.
I weep. It could have been so good. I weep. But yeah, no, I mean it.
Yeah, you know what? John Boyega deserves better.
John Boyega deserves better, and in his entire life, John Boyega deserves better. And I want all good things for John Boyega. I really like how the series looks, and I cannot wait to acquire it and watch it legally.
Yes.
But no, I mean, the music sounds great. I just want to point out before we kind of go into the stuff that doesn't look great. The music, that specific Duel of the Fates anthem, is specifically the parts from Obi-Wan and Darth Maul's fight.
Yes.
So I don't know if we're gonna get Darth Maul in the series. I kind of don't want Darth Maul in the series because there's a whole stuff with Rebels in him.
Yeah, like Darth Maul's story. See, so I don't know the timeline super well with Darth Maul because is he still around when this is taking place?
Yes, this takes place before Rebels.
Okay.
This takes place before Rebels. Because the chronologically last appearance of Darth Maul is in an episode of Star Wars Rebels where Darth Maul tracks down Obi-Wan Kenobi in the desert of Tatooine, and it's nighttime, and it's this beautiful scene where you have the 2 moons backlighting this scene, and you see older, like, Alec Guinness Obi-Wan, and he holds his lightsaber like when he first fought Darth Maul, and then he brings it down in a more like he held it in like a very like aggressive way, and then he kind of moved it and adjusted to like his traditional style, and then you saw him take on more of a Qui-Gon-esque kind of stance, and he fought Darth Maul, and it's a beautiful scene. It's very touching. They did a fantastic job on it because you're seeing this person, Darth Maul, who has literally wanted to kill Obi-Wan for removing his lower half. That is his sole purpose in this fucking galaxy is to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi. He finally catches up to him, and it's literally seeing two foes. I mean, and that Duel of the Fates is pulled from Star Wars Rebels. So I think it's very interesting that we're getting that specific one. I think if they had Darth Maul show up and interact with Kenobi, it would cheapen the stuff that's already been kind of...
That's already happened.
It's already happened. Yeah, exactly. It takes away from that meeting of them later. If he shows up on Tatooine and he's younger and he gets bodied again, I don't know. That's just how I work. Like, looking at it from a wrestling booking stance, you don't want your two heavy hitters duking it out on a TV show. You want to save it for the pay-per-view, you know? And
well, let me tell you what I just found.
Oh God.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, Sam Witwer teases Star Wars series involvement. Sam Witwer is the voice of Darth Maul. That is the headline. Let me see. With Obi-Wan taking place before the original trilogy with the not yet gray-bearded McGregor, it would make sense if Maul crossed paths again and seek revenge for cutting him in half at the end of their initial fight. I disagree. I agree with what Wes said and disagree with that concept. Witwer, sensing the bombardment of inquiries, shared an anecdote on Twitter teasing his involvement on the show, while presumably nudging indirectly at his NDA, asking fans to respect my privacy today. Reading more of that article, I'm not entirely sure that is really teasing involvement in the series. I feel like that could go
He's just not allowed to talk
a very
about
different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is a misleading headline I found.
So
personally, I agree. I don't think Darth Maul needs to show up in it. I think you're right.
Something funny about NDAs that a lot of people don't realize is that NDAs can be long-standing. When you work for a company and they make you sign an NDA, there can be certain parameters and clauses that you have to agree to. Disney, in a lot of their NDAs, they have their actors say you have to sign on for a certain amount of projects in your contract and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, you cannot talk about said property in a spoiler kind of way, anything that would cheapen our reveals or anything that our marketing does. Because if you do, it is a breach of your NDA, your contract will be terminated, and you could potentially be fired or lose money. And I think that's his contract, because he has been involved in multiple Star Wars properties. He was in Force Unleashed 1 and 2. He played Starkiller. He was the voice of Darth Maul. Fantastic. That Kenobi scream is fantastic.
Yeah.
He's been involved in a bunch of other stuff with Star Wars. So I just think this is him. Also, I watch him on Twitch, and he plays video games, and he's fucking cheeky as hell. He constantly teases people, so I think it's just him being a little tease. Just a little tease. Being a little brat, you know?
Yeah. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out what they do.
I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna be very disappointed if Darth Maul shows up in the show and interacts with Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I'm going to keep my opinions in a very civil manner.
Speaking of opinions, do you want to talk about the elephant in the room with that trailer?
God, yeah,
We don't have to get super into it because it's getting late and we need to do the bracket.
We do need to do the bracket. Yeah. Do you want to show what we were giggling about? Do you want to talk about what we're giggling about? Here, I will show what we're giggling about.
Yeah, go ahead and bring it up. Do you need the Twitter link?
I've got the Twitter link right.
You got the Twitter link? Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I bookmarked it. I'm gonna be able to look at that for my days.
Watch your screen to see when you bring it up. But the Grand Inquisitor definitely has some kind of look going on in the trailer, and I don't kind of like with the stuff with the Hunter cover last time. I don't want to disparage people's work, but also it is very hard to tell that is that character looking at him in the trailer. It is hard to tell it's that character. It is hard to tell it's supposed to be a member of that alien species. And it's also just not a good look.
So
It's just
this is the
very
kind of the first one.
Yeah, so that's how he appears in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah. And it is important to note that the Grand Inquisitor is Powan. He is a former Jedi Temple guard that was brought up by Darth Vader and made the kind of leader of these Inquisitors. Actor Rupert Friend is playing him, who's a British actor, great character actor, very handsome. That is the look that we have.
It's just...
And I know. Practical effects are hard. Disney has so much fucking money.
Disney has the money. Disney has, look, as much as I am deeply and ethically against what they have done with their money and their powers, they were able to resurrect Peter Cushing from the grave and move him around like a puppet. I think they have the resources to make this character, who is very, very cool and a lot of people like, look a little better. I'm not even like, I don't give a shit about accuracy to the cartoon. The cartoon's super stylized. It's never gonna look like the cartoon.
Yeah, it's never gonna look
It
like the
shouldn't.
cartoon.
It would be really weird if they did.
It would
But
be very
like,
strange.
even that, what you have right there, how they looked in Revenge of the Sith.
Came out in 2006.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. Disney's got the money. Disney has the resources. Disney, it's very strange that they didn't put a little more effort into the look for this poor person.
I understand there's a lot of practicality with that. Like, oh god, they're comparing him to fucking Piccolo in Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh no,
Oh, no.
I forgot that existed. I'm not gonna lie.
Honestly, what I think it is, you know what I think it is? I think it's probably a function kind of thing. Because I'm pretty sure that he's going to be doing a lot of lightsaber fights. Or some lightsaber fights. And so they probably didn't want him to be able to, be knocking his head into shit and everything. Which makes sense.
And that makes sense. I don't know. I just think, like, even, like, the eyes a little bit more yellow, the facial markings more pronounced.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, something to make him look a little more interesting to look at and less
like a dude in a costume.
Yeah.
It was giving me Party City vibes.
Yes.
Not even Party City vibes, but like CW show vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. Especially recent CW with stuff that's been going on with the Flash TV show that used to have a pretty decent look, even despite its
CGI,
budget,
yeah.
and has gone very, very downhill, but we don't have to get into that.
Oof.
Yeah, that's all I really have to say about the trailer. Overall, I'm more excited for it than the stuff I'm disappointed in.
Exactly.
The stuff I'm disappointed in isn't even like a huge disappointment. I just think it could be better.